Hello and welcome to our podcast series, CPAs Unplugged. Today on the show, I'm really honored to have a very special guest, the President and CEO of the Virginia Society of CPAs, Stephanie Peterson. Stephanie, welcome to the show, and thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Welcome. Wonderful to have you here.
Absolutely. So I'm in this lovely office of the Virginia Society of CPAs, and we actually had a walk through the woods while we came in here. I mean, how did you design this? I mean, was it your brainchild?
It was not my brainchild. We've owned this building since the late 1980s, and the vision of my predecessor was that he didn't want it to look like a corporate building, in the middle of an office park. He wanted it to look like a walk through the woods. And
Wow.
so we love it. We love it. And we've been renovating since COVID and just want it to be welcoming for our guests.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank
So we want to know more about your journey, Stephanie. Where did you start? How did you get into accounting? And you had a very interesting time at college, liberal arts, history, and here you're dealing with accountants.
Yeah.
Easy, difficult. How's it been?
It's been a wonderful journey. I'm a very blessed person, and I have to remind myself all the time. But I've been with the profession for 25 years. I'm not a CPA. As you said, I have my background in college was history and liberal arts. I took foreign languages. My parents were great. They just said, learn, do what you want, and discover what you want to do. And so I really didn't discover what I wanted to do, but I did graduate and ended up working in a record store, which I do have a love and passion for music. And so that was fun, but it really wasn't a career. So I was always looking for something, the real job, and found it at Richmond City Social Services. Ended up doing that for about 5 years, and worked with people who needed help. And we were able to provide, some financial assistance to those people. So that was rewarding. And at the time, I got my master's in public administration and thought I would continue working in government. But I started to get some experience working with the state legislature here in Virginia, so
Amazing.
The General Assembly. And I really enjoyed that. And so when I graduated from that program, a friend of mine who worked here said that they had just created a position for someone to come in and do government relations work with our members, with CPAs, to work with the General Assembly on the laws and rules that govern CPAs, the Virginia Board of Accountancy. And so they took a chance on me. And so I came here and been here ever since.
And I think that they made an amazing
It was
choice.
The best decision, and I was so fortunate to have a friend who worked here, and they took that chance on me. But what's funny is when I started here, right after I started, one of the first things I did was got helped pass in Virginia the rules that put into place the 150-hour requirement.
Amazing.
So that was in 1999.
Wow.
And
I think that's when all the state boards were moving in towards the 150-hour requirement.
That's when that was really starting to move. So so that was a long time ago. So that's why I've have a lot of experience with just the licensure aspect of the profession. And, a lot of us at state societies had to get those laws passed. And so we're very intimately involved and understand kind of those rules and why they're in place. And, we can start talking about that now, or we can talk about it another time.
Absolutely. I think the profession has evolved significantly over the last few decades, and you've been right here seeing it as a state CPA society. You've been talking to public accounting firms. What have you seen in terms of the trend for the profession over the last 25, 27 years?
Yeah, it's changed. It keeps changing, but it has definitely changed. It's like night and day from when I started. And if it hadn't changed, I don't think I'd still be here, And so that's great. We're always evolving.
Absolutely.
We're always moving forward. When I started, I remember our website was, it was just like a front page with few links with our address and,
I think that's
you
how
know,
it used to be those days,
what
right?
our chapters were called. And just to see what technology does for us today and does for our membership, and just everything being in the cloud. And, you know, really, you know, just seeing how that internet has transformed our lives and certainly the profession.
So technology and the profession, the regulations, the talent pipeline.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
What do you think? I mean, you're at a very, very powerful, influential position today in terms of you know, public accounting in Virginia. What do you hear? What did you hear earlier versus what do you hear now?
Yeah.
Where do you think the profession's going? Somebody talks about talent pipeline, technology, you know, goods and the bads.
You know, I think technology is the running theme, is one of those running themes.
Absolutely.
That is driving what we do and how we do it and how it's changing. And in so many ways, it's exciting. Just it brings so much opportunity.
Absolutely.
And you know, we're eager to share that message with so many young people. You know, you talk about the pipeline. They need to see and understand how the profession is innovating.
Absolutely.
And is innovating our business world.
Absolutely.
And using the tools. I think it's just going to continue to propel the profession and keep the profession in the forefront. You know, we've got a broad profession. We've got, you know, a lot of firms that are really out front. We've got some firms that, and, you know, other smaller practitioners who kind of we need to bring along. And that's what is so dynamic about this profession, is how varied it is. And that's where it's important for us to be seeing what's in the forefront and on the cutting edge, and helping everyone kind of learn the skills, gain the skills that they need to continue to move forward. And that's probably our biggest mission, is to just keep this profession moving forward and taking the opportunities, not being scared of, you know, you hear the reports in the news, you know, accountants are going to be, you know, all eliminated because of AI or something. And I think we've learned, because of all these years of technology changing,
Absolutely.
that the CPA remains a critical part of this profession and the services and the value that we bring every day. The tools are there, and the tools allow us and enable us to provide greater value at a greater quality of value and service. But, you know, the world still needs the people who understand it, who are there to talk and, you know, explain and give the insights that this technology is able to, you know, to really allow us to do that and go up that value chain. So
I don't know if you read this article sometime back from the Washington Post, which was headlined, "The Accountant Shortage Threatens Capitalism's Future."
Yes.
So of course, technology is coming. It's really enabling the profession, but you still need accountants, you still need auditors, you still need tax guys. So how much do you hear in Virginia, you know, from the firms, both big and small, about an accountant shortage, talent shortage? I mean, is that a problem that you hear very often? Anything that you're doing about it as a state society?
Oh my goodness, yeah, all the time. Hear about it all the time. I mean, it's a crisis, and it just seemed to, you know, I think we started to see it happening in, you know, maybe the late 20 teens, and then
COVID
suddenly,
period,
yeah, and then suddenly it's full-blown crisis, and it's hitting everyone, you know, all levels of, you know, firm size.
So you see bigger firms also equally affected.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Everyone is still looking for the
Talent.
CPAs. You know, even on the corporate side, you know, every finance.
So they come and tell you, make CPA easy.
Yes, yes, you know, and this is, you know, we tell them, you know, we're trying to be realistic. You know, when you look at the big picture of the trends happening in society, we are not going to replace every retiring CPA with a new CPA. You know, with birth rates, you know, are affecting our population. College enrollment has been declining overall.
Absolutely.
Definitely in accounting programs, we've seen that. So it's a very, you know, complex issue that we're dealing with. And, you know, we do have a lot of members who feel that, one easy solution is, let's eliminate the 150-hour requirement. That, I think that that does create some barriers, and we can chat about that, but it's not the only
Absolutely.
barrier. And so we've got to, I think many of the firms are realizing that we've got to have a variety of solutions, technology solutions that, automation
Absolutely.
that can start to do some of those tasks that people used to do. Frankly, people don't want to do those necessarily anymore anyway. So technology, the offshoring is becoming, even for smaller firms, it's becoming how we're doing business now. Even just, 3 or 4 years ago, some of the smaller firms in Virginia wouldn't have touched it because of how their clients' reaction may feel about that. But I think everybody is seeing it more, hearing it more, feeling more comfortable about it, and feeling that, this is how we are going to get our work done. So
absolutely,
that, so these two core pieces are starting to become, part of the business model of a firm. We've got to look at, where we're recruiting. We at the Society are working on how are we addressing the awareness, what I call the awareness problem.
Absolutely.
And there are so many young people in the U.S. today and beyond, never heard of accounting, don't know what accounting is, don't have a clue what it would be. I would probably be one of those kids, and when I was in high school, I never took an accounting class. A lot of high schools don't have accounting anymore in Virginia. And, there isn't that exposure. So how do we get out there and show more young people the opportunities of an accounting profession?
How do you make accounting attractive, glamorous? I was at one of the conferences, this was an AICPA CFO conference, and the slide was, how do you make accounting sexy again? And people in the audience had a bigger problem with that word again. They were like,
oh, that's a good one. Was it ever? That's so funny.
So how do you think accounting could become more glamorous?
Yeah.
How do you attract more people? And I think, as a society in particular, but as a profession in general, how do we make this so glamorous, so attractive that people realize, okay, hey, we sign off on things, our autographs, you're like celebrities in some way or the other. So how do you make, how do you send that message out?
There are CPAs out there that are doing really cool stuff. And one of our members, one of our board members, is a CPA. She's a CPA for social media influencers.
Wow.
So she is great. She's young. She looks, hip and
amazing.
Cool. She likes to brag that she doesn't look like an accountant. And
that's bad. We have to tell her accountants can be like you.
Accountants look like everybody, So she has a real interesting niche, and she is very much out there in social media. And so she's been working with us to talk with more students. We're working with the Center for Audit Quality. They have an initiative called Accounting Plus.
Okay.
And so when we're looking at expanding the pipeline to students who wouldn't have necessarily known about accounting, that's what Accounting Plus is targeting. They're particularly targeting students of color, so Black students, Hispanic students particularly, because really trying to bring more diversity into the accounting profession. So they're working with a lot of state societies. We're involved, and we've been able to find, since we're kind of out and about in the profession, find those CPAs doing the kind of glamorous stuff and get them connected with Accounting Plus. Accounting Plus has a great branding campaign that they're working on. Amazing. All through social media. They're doing a lot of events or they're doing a lot of events across the country. We worked with them on one up in DC. They went to a STEM high school in Washington, DC. And we had a few of our members come and speak to the students, and it was the MC was a former NFL football player.
Okay,
So
amazing.
he was there. He's bought in. They're partnering with other influencers, other celebrities to as part of their branding campaign. So I think there are some groups, and we're involved trying to show this other side of accounting and how valuable. They just announced a partnership with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Amazing.
And so they're going to be doing a lot of helping promote it. So it's really trying. I have a lot of respect for the CAQ for what they've done, and they have said, nothing's off the table. I think they're even working with folks in Hollywood to look at, how do we do a TV show? How do we do a movie that shows kind of this cooler side of accounting and how critical it is to everything. Any kind of business that you think is sexy or cool has got an accountant who knows really how that business is working.
Amazing. So while we're making accounting cool, the next question is, what do you see in terms of trend of technology with accounting? And I know you spoke about that some time back, but when we look at, there's a lot of excitement whenever you have a STEM track. And one of the initiatives that we're working on as Miles is work with universities in terms of converting their accounting programs, typically the graduate programs, into STEM. How do you see this initiative? How do you see STEM in accounting? I know the AICP is working on CPA Evolution, where they've added a lot of technology pieces into the CPA exam, and that's the underlying. How do you, as a CEO of a state CPA society, as part of the profession, see this entire move of bringing technology into accounting? And do you think this could be one of the solutions in terms of attracting more talent, more accountants into the pipeline?
Absolutely. I love this initiative. And I love how you all at Miles Education have really kind of grasped on to finding a solution to our capacity issues here through the STEM programs. But I see it as it's another branding campaign.
Right.
So if we can get more accounting programs, master's and undergraduate levels, identified as STEM, then it will be a part of the conversation when we're talking to 8th graders who are writing out their career plans, which is what they do now. And they know about STEM, their parents know about STEM, and they know that with STEM you can get a great job, a great career in a growing field. So if accounting is one of those options, I have no doubt that that is going to bring in more young people. Again, getting that awareness that, wow, this is a career option for me. This could be exactly what's perfect fit for me, and I would never have known before, and just provide me with opportunities to have a lifestyle that I never dreamed of having before. So
absolutely.
So I think, and we're working hard and working in Virginia with our colleges and universities to do what, to just assist them in getting that designation for their schools. And from what I can tell, they're eager to do it as well.
Absolutely. So it's like in substance and in form, and we see that with a lot of universities that we work with. So some of them are, of course, trying to bring in analytics courses as part of the accounting program. Yes. Some of them already have it, but the SIP code is a non-STEM SIP code. So again, it's in substance, but the SIP code also needs to be STEM so that they can promote this as a STEM designated program. Yes. And we've seen that with universities who have moved from a non-STEM to a STEM program, and suddenly the domestic enrollments have also increased into the program. I mean, most students are excited about it. They are more intrigued, and they see this amazing combination of the world of accounting, the world of business, and the world of tech, everything coming in together.
Right. I think it is reality. And I think, CPA Evolution is just dovetails right into that.
Absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And so, and like you said, the classrooms, the schools are getting the needed classes into their curriculum, because, data analytics is critical to the audit, to what we do, even to the tax,
to accounting,
function,
absolutely,
all of the professions. So, so there's exciting changes coming. And of course, CPA Evolution, the new exam is starting in January. So that, so we've been gearing up for that and helping our colleges.
You see a lot of nervousness around you that what's happening, and it's a big change.
It is. The students, I've talked to several students and they're cramming right now. They're trying,
I know there's so many of our
They're
candidates
trying
try
to
to
get
apply for
their work
BEC
in.
now and
Yep.
get done with this before this goes away.
Yeah.
It's like the known devil versus.
Exactly, exactly. But I think the new, the students next year are going to be happy.
It's really nice.
They're
It's
gonna
really
like
nice,
it.
and it sort of brings in the core in a very nice way, and then it allows you
Yes.
options to specialize. So this
Exactly.
is like
Yeah.
super amazing. I mean, we've actually had requests from a lot of candidates that can I do more than one specialization,
Right.
more than one elective? Can I do that? All of them look so exciting to have to choose.
Yes.
Like, yeah, for the CPA exams, do one, but you can study all of them.
Yeah, and you can change your career whenever you want. So yeah, it's not limiting. If you pick one, it's fine. You can still pursue one of the other areas in your career. It's not going to limit you from that at all.
So Stephanie, now going back to the talent pipeline, and you said one of the solutions is technology in terms of making sure you're technology enabled, sort of optimize the workload. You may not need as many staff in some cases. And the second piece you said is offshoring or outsourcing of work. And in a lot of ways, right, the outsourcing or the offshoring piece feels like leveraging an international talent pool.
Yep.
And the good thing is, it's been more than 10 years that the AICPA and NASBA, they started exams outside of the US, started with Middle East and Japan. And in 2020, the exams also came into India, which is, again, a big hub for offshoring for a lot of American public accounting firms. So, and let's say in countries like India, we have a talent surplus, right, in terms of accounting. So you have a talent shortage here, you have a talent surplus here, and since you send work from the US to India and then work happens. And one of the things that we're also trying to do is trying to bring accountants on board here. I mean, so one solution is send the work to India and the work happens from India. The second complementary part of the solution is how about we get some Indian accountants here? And the interesting part is as the accounting programs become STEM, like engineers, so this has been happening in tech for quite a while, like engineers, accountants now also get a 3-year OPT to come to the US, do a master's in accounting, which is now STEM, and get a 3-year OPT work opportunity with public accounting firms. And for them, the most exciting part accounting is great, is the chance to live their American dream. So when somebody, I mean, and I'm from the outside, I was born and brought up in India, when somebody from the outside talks to you about the American dream, how do you see it?
It's interesting. I love seeing and hearing an outside perspective about our country, accustomed to how things are here, that we don't see ourselves in
Living in a
in a
dream
different-
and
yeah, I don't, exactly. I don't think a
This
lot
is
of
reality
people
for
think
you,
it's a
but-
dream. I unfortunately, I think we focus a lot on what we still need to do better.
Absolutely.
And we really want to, change some things that we feel aren't fair or inequitable for a lot of people here, and so we want to make a lot of changes sometimes. So we forget about, what is really good that's happening here.
That's sort of sometimes for granted, and then you're looking at this is missing and we got to work on this.
Yeah. So I think it's, I think a lot of us just feel like we're,
We got to do better and better, yeah.
yeah, we need to get better.
And I think that's the
and a good
American dream,
thing.
right? That's the
Yeah,
American
that's
dream,
true.
right? You got to, how do you keep moving forward and
right, yeah.
make this country more amazing.
Right, right.
So I saw, Stephanie, that you are part of an LGBTQ plus
Yes,
community, and you're on the board, with the AICPA. Tell us more about that. What are you doing, and how do you see diversity and inclusion in the accounting profession?
Yeah. This is just a huge area for me personally, for our organization. Our whole team is passionate around diversity, inclusion, equity, belonging. So we've really been focused a lot on just how we as a staff are approaching DEI, and so I feel like we all have to kind of start where we are at our home with our people. And so we have a team internally that has planned a lot of educational events for our whole staff. And it's been very enlightening, and we've done this for a number of years. And we're all learning, we're having conversations together about different things that we learn about, that we know about. We have staff will come and share to our team. We have a day of understanding, what we call a day of understanding, once a year. Everyone comes to the office in person, and the last few years we've had a staff person come up and talk about their story and maybe something that we didn't know that was going on in their life. That's part of what I have to talk about, is how we're doing this as our team.
Amazing.
Because we all have to have a personal investment in diversity and change. Again, all of those elements in order to start to broaden it to wider and wider circles.
And how do you see the commitment from public accounting firms?
Yeah. Well, I feel, I think everyone is in their own starting place. Even though we've been doing this for years, I have to, throw that in there. So our next circle is our members, and we have what we call our DEI Advisory Council. And we had a wonderful meeting over Zoom a couple of years ago. It was during COVID, and we each shared our own story. And one particular woman on our council said she was feeling overwhelmed. She's an African American lesbian woman, feeling overwhelmed, feeling like we've been working on this for so many decades and things just don't feel like they're getting better. And it was a very, emotional moment in time, and it was, very true, and it really, to me, it said, someone like me who has a position like I have needs to step up and start leading. Yeah. Leading maybe more, maybe I've personally supported, but how am I stepping up and leading? So, I wanted to join the committees at the AICPA. They have a D&I commission. They have a women's initiative. Amazing. They just started the LGBTQ plus committee when I started, so that was 3 years ago. And so I joined that. I was proud to be part of starting this. Trying
to create an impact,
Yeah, having a brand new committee that's focused on an important area. And we here at the Virginia Society have several LGBTQ community members. I felt like it was important for the profession to start to acknowledge, by at least having a committee. So we developed a toolkit for firms where they can start to learn about, just what some of the language around LGBTQ, some of the gender issues around LGBTQ, some of the history around kind of the civil rights movement of LGBTQ. And so we've developed that. We've kind of revised it a couple of times, added things. And it was personally a learning experience when I started. I did not realize how, so one of our committee members who's gay and is married to, his husband, he described how every time, so he's in public accounting, every time he has a new client, he has to come out again. So come out of the closet again and talk to the new client about, who he is personally, that he's married to his husband. And it's kind of like I always thought, okay, you come out once, you're out, and that's it, and everybody knows. Yeah. But in the work life, in your work world, a lot of people don't know. And so a new client comes in and you kind of have to break that ice.
Sometimes you're worried somebody's trying to judge you, or
So you don't know what the reaction will be, and so I've learned, and that's what we need to do, is all just hear these stories and understand just how the world is different for different people. And I think when we do that, we can create cultures that truly are culture of belonging. And I lately have been just zeroing in on belonging, being so critical. That's why I've been here for 25 years, is I feel like I belong here, and people have treated me that way. Absolutely. But other people haven't had that experience, so I have to
step up,
figure out why, and how do we teach the rest of our teams to create that culture of belonging. And I think that's one of the most critical things that the profession can do right now. And that's why people leave. And if they want, it's hard to get people, but when you get them, you've got to keep them.
Feel at home, yeah.
And that is one of the key reasons why people leave, is they don't feel like that they belong there, that they are connected there. It's completely a transactional kind of relationship with their employer, and it needs to be deeper than that. That's a challenge that we're working on with our members.
So do you also hear work-life balance being a challenge?
Yeah. All the time, all the time.
Long hours.
That's another, part of it. You know, I was listening to another a speaker talking about this situation, and he said, you know, the only thing I see online, it's students, or I don't mean students, young professionals in the profession. Few of them are complaining about the 150 hours, but they are complaining about
the long hours,
work hours
so
that they
it's all
are
hours.
dealing with. It's all the related hours. It just seems like the whole profession is based on hours, and maybe we need to change that mindset. But just the hours are in the pay. The hours are too much. The pay is too little, and that is the biggest concern that person, you know, was hearing. And I think that is a reality we need to deal with, because on the one hand, we want to attract people into the profession, but we don't want to set them up, you know, kind of create some, you know, fantasy career that when they get in there, it's nothing like they've been told. You know, it's a tough one, but I know some firms in Virginia are really working on limiting how many hours that their staff are working, and
sometimes using
really
technology,
forcing
sometimes trying to outsource, trying to sort of balance it out, yeah?
And they just got to figure out, you know, technology and offshoring can only go so far. I mean, but you've got to think about the people. You know, we're always talking about how we're a profession about people. Well, we're all just human, and we all have just so much. And the younger generation today is not going to put up with it. They're already making other choices. So for the future, you know, viability of this profession, we've got to figure out how we can allow people to have that quality of life.
So Stephanie, if I'm a young professional, a young accountant, let's say I've made my decision, I'm going to get into accounting,
Yep.
I'm going to get my CPA,
Yep.
you know, I'm trying to sort of figure out where do I stand. Now, let's say, and I want to be in public accounting, I want to be an auditor, or maybe I want to be a tax guy, you know, and I have this very, very large firms, and then I have a lot of these smaller firms, and the range is crazy, right? I mean, you have firms with tens of thousands of people, and then you have firms with single digit, maybe double digit number of employees.
Yep.
And I'm confused about, you know, and, you know, with the accounting shortage, maybe I have opportunities at various places, and maybe it's my decision
Yeah.
where do I want to go.
Yep.
What would you advise me?
Where would they go? That's a great question. What I would say is, you really don't assume that there's only one right answer.
Okay.
You know, and I think traditionally, a lot of college professors have pushed their students into Big Four, saying that's the pathway you have to go through. That there isn't just one pathway.
Absolutely.
And they're very different experiences. And just like going to a huge university or to a small college may be perfect, a small college may be perfect for you, just in who you are, as opposed to some big.
You get individual
college.
attention,
Yeah.
and you know everybody there.
Yeah, and it's just more, you know, more comfortable for you, but you will get different experiences.
So Stephanie, you know, a lot of accountants have this question around, you know, when I'm working on my career, should I go for a big, you know, a public accounting firm? Should I go for a small one?
Yep.
You know, how do you help, you know, a young professional choose? What's the advice that you have for the young accountant?
Well, I tell them to consider all of their options. You know, they're going to get very different experiences, but they're going to get not necessarily worse experience in one or the other, but they will be different, and it may be different. You know, and their interests may be better suited to one or the other. I do think in a larger firm, you're going to get a more narrow view. Probably a very small portion of that audit, for instance, would you be working on. Whereas in a smaller firm, you're typically more exposed to a broader scope of the clients and the different types of work that you do for the different clients or that the firm does. you've got people that are closer in proximity as far as, where you work, who may be doing completely different things. So I think you can get a broad exposure. And, the large firms have great resources. And so I think there are a lot of opportunities there. So, but I think that a young person would be remiss in not considering those differences and really thinking, maybe do an externship with a smaller firm, or if they can do an internship in a variety of different firms, to try that. I think, one of my colleagues, CEO of the Pennsylvania Institute, she's a CPA, and she just said recently, when she was in college, she interviewed with the Big Four, but she didn't get an offer. Started her career and was a failure. And she ended up going to a smaller regional firm, and she says now it was the best thing that ever happened to her. Wow. She just didn't think that any other pathway meant success. But look at her now. She's doing a great job now.
So when you look at the bigger public accounting firms, they have a lot of resources, they have a strong employer brand, and that's where the perception is, okay, hey, these are the big firms, and they're, of course, amazing places to work. How do you, as a state CPA society, take care of a lot of these smaller firms who don't have the resources to build their employer brands, but are really committed to clients, have a strong work ethics, work culture, operate like a family of sorts? So how do you work on their branding? I mean, is that something which is on your agenda?
Absolutely. We have a tremendous amount of ways that we work with really all of our firms, but I would say probably mostly the regional and smaller firms. We help them, connect them with the colleges and universities across the state, give them the opportunity to get their name out to students. We help, colleges are always looking for CPAs to come into the classroom, so we will tap into some of our firms that may not be working with that college and get some of their staff to be able to go in and talk with the students.
So it's basically a lot of things that you do as a state CPA. So how's your work-life balance?
I'm managing, I try to lead by example and, make time for family, take time off. If you're burnt out, you're not going to be effective. And I think a lot of our culture, a lot of the CPA culture is, I can do it, I can keep doing it, and they ignore their stress. Yeah. They ignore those signs of burnout. And it can end up being very detrimental. We're talking a lot about mental health these days. And, since COVID especially, and just all of the workload that just built up during that time that just hasn't stopped. And I think being remote just makes it even more nonstop, and sometimes you're more isolated. And again, our culture is, just buck up, you can do it, you can't look like you're weak.
You're accountable.
Yes,
you're an accountant, so.
My clients need me, I've got to be here. And we've got to start to figure out how to have that quality of life, have that work-life balance, have that mental, health that your client needs. Your client needs the best you that you've had, that you can be. And if you're burnt out and you're not sleeping and you're not eating well and not taking time off and not enjoying your family, I talked to a lot of partners are dealing with this now.
Partners at partner level?
Partners, yes. Okay. They are, I feel like they've really been thinking more about their staff, but now they're taking on a lot of the burden. So trying to work with partners to set boundaries, set expectations for their clients. They always say, well, I have to take my laptop with me whenever I go on vacation. And I'm like, do you really? And they'll say, well,
what if a client tries to reach out to me and I'm
not
available, I'll not be.
It's like, well, you've first of all, delegate. That's another big management, leadership skill that the accounting profession needs, is how to delegate, let go of that control.
Because all the partners started ground up, right, Stephanie? All the partners, nearly all of them, started as a staff level and grew all the way.
Yes.
So they were individual contributors.
Yes,
And then,
exactly.
and then they're so committed to their work, and because they were so good, they were promoted.
Exactly.
And now, I have a client who needs something.
Yes.
I got to do it for the client.
Yes, it is that. And many of our members do it well. And they do see, I've got to grow this person. I've got to give them that responsibility and do it well. But I see a lot that don't do it well. And so that's something that I feel will help with the mental health crisis, that we're experiencing, or a lot of our members are experiencing, is if they can, think about it. It's good for the young person and it's good for you. But it's just that loss of sense of control. I think it's hard for a lot of people, and I understand it.
So partners are putting in hours. They're sort of so accountable.
Yep.
Are they making money?
They are, and that's an opportunity.
Yeah, that's an important question. As an accountant, I may
Absolutely.
not start at the highest of levels, but will I ultimately, if I become a partner, will I become rich? And that's
Partners do very well in CPA firms of all sizes. And that's another part of our culture we need to work on, is to show they're humble people. They don't want to be flashy. They don't want to show, they want to drive the Honda Accord, not the Mercedes, because that's who they are.
Yeah.
They want to save their money, and that's.
We got to maybe host some VSCPA shows in a Mercedes showroom, called the partners, and say, everybody buy a car.
Yes, show your staff that you're doing well. That's the problem, is, so a lot of these young people are like, I don't want to be partner, they work too much, but they don't really know. I had one partner of a larger firm. He was meeting with a younger person who was kind of on the partner track, and the guy, the partner said, how much do you think I make? And the young partner said, his guess was half of what that partner actually made.
Wow.
And so that's the thing. It's like, well, we've got to start being more transparent.
Accountants is always about ROI, right, Stephanie? Yeah. I mean, if I'm spending something, am I getting the return?
Exactly.
And they're so frugal, thrifty.
Yeah,
and they're doing that for their clients. They're helping their clients save money, and in the process, they're all wired.
Yes, yes. And that's okay. I'm kind of like that myself. But we've got to show at least the potential of earnings. Young people do want to have a career, a lucrative career. They're going to work hard. They want to be rewarded. We all want that. But we've got to show and demonstrate how that is a reality, because they're not seeing it now.
And I think one of the pieces that doesn't really come out, Stephanie, for the profession is the opportunities for entrepreneurship in the profession, right? So every CPA firm partner is essentially an entrepreneur, running his own show with his team of maybe 8, 10, 20 associates, getting business from the clients, servicing. So, why don't we really bring that out, that the potential for entrepreneurship, and whether you're in a smaller firm or a larger firm, it's the same structure.
Yep. You're a business owner.
Yeah.
And that, in some of the CAQ's research that they've done, especially in Black communities and Hispanic communities, those communities are motivated by entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
On, how am I giving back to the businesses in my community, and how am I helping my community to grow? And all of those things align right with an accounting degree. You would have the skills to help those businesses, to own your own business, to be entrepreneurial, to help others, help your communities, thrive financially, and you would be able to help them with that. And so that is a message. And, like I was telling you, my board member, Courtney Arrington, who is the CPA for the influencers, she herself is that example. I mean, she has a virtual firm. She is an entrepreneur herself. She is extremely innovative, uses technology, uses social media, and it's exciting to see. She's a person of color. So it's happening. It's happening. And we're doing our best to get those stories out to young people all over, so they can see, this isn't, you're not just some corporate, person who's kind of a cog in the machine, you have just such an array of opportunities. And
I think one of the questions is, how do we get the profession on Instagram?
Yes. Well, we're on Instagram, so we're trying. We got to get on TikTok. That's where.
Yeah,
it is.
that's the next step now.
And there are some folks who are out there. They're doing it. So
Stephanie, this has been a great conversation, and we have so many accountants, and from a Miles perspective, we have, more than 55,000 alumni in India who are all accountants, all excited. And of course, you have a very, very large of more than 600,000 CPAs in America. What's your message to so many accountants, and especially the younger ones who are getting started, a little nervous about did they make the right decision? Right. Sometimes sort of rethinking, sometimes really working hard, but not very sure. What do you say to all of them?
Yeah. Well, I'm envious of all these young people I'm seeing are just starting in this profession. There's just so much change that's happening, from where I started 25 years ago, just how slow things were and paper-based, and just decision making was long. The work was tedious, and today it's so much more exciting. It's so much more interactive. It's so much more meaningful. People are connecting so much more, and this profession is all about those connections. And we've got these new tools, and they're just in more and more. Is coming every day that is enabling our members to do what they want to do, which is to take care of their clients. That's what they all say. I just want to serve my clients. I don't want to have to deal with this other stuff. And I believe that, the world is changing where we are going to be able to be fully human, use our human skills to connect, to, advise, to, the technology tools will be there, make things so much easier to get that information out that is going to be that meaningful. So you can have those meaningful conversations, so you can bring value. That value can be just continuous. The profession used to be very, let's look back. Let's look at what you did last year and analyze that, and now I'll see you next year. And now it's more of I'll be with you every step of the way. We're going to be looking at what your financials are telling you today and what decisions that's going to help you make for your future. So this is a value that's focused on the future. So I just feel like the profession is very much future oriented. The younger generations are driving the culture. It's going to change, and I think new ideas, the new energy, I feel like there's just...
it sort of makes you younger again.
You're like... And I can't wait to see what all happens. There are challenges, and I feel like we've addressed a lot of those challenges, but there's just so much more hopefulness and just newness that I feel is coming with everything that we're doing. Just having this conversation with you is, you've broadened my perspective about new solutions that we can
maybe
bring.
About the American dream for
absolutely
for international folks who are coming into the country.
And that's exciting to me, and it's what we need, and like I said, we need to have this culture here that that will help everyone just thrive and succeed, and I believe that's where we're going. This profession's smart. They care.
Yes, absolutely.
They have tremendous amount of integrity and commitment, and they want to do what's right. And I think we'll continue to grow and thrive well into the future.
Thank you so much for being such a strong advocate of the profession. And thank you so much for taking our time today, Stephanie. Thank you so much, and really happy, really glad, and I think it's an honor.
Same here.
Thank you.
Same here.